pocket. He's going to have it. He does. Ricky Henderson. No.
He is fully back.
He was beyond special.
For lack of a better word, a stud.
He could do everything on the baseball field to help his team win a game.
He goes from coast to coast, who Willie Mays was.
Mays gets his first hit of the series.
You can do it all with such ease.
There are 5 points to a player, and Willie was definitely a 5-point player.
He's the best base runner I've ever seen.
He always seemed to get to where he had to be to get the ball.
You get mesmerized with just watching Willie hit.
I thought he was one of the greatest players that ever played the game.
Willie Mays was simply the greatest baseball player.
Let's begin with last things first. Never mind the steel mill or the Negro Leagues. Disregard the meteoric rise to New York City and the ascent to the top of the baseball world. Forget, for just a moment, the tour of duty in Uncle Sam's Army, or the unparalleled grace and beauty of the catch. Pay no heed, if you can, to the overwhelming statistics, mere numbers compared to the artistry of 22 iconic seasons spent on dirt and grass. Rather, focus on the tangible. Chiseled from granite, forged to endure, engineered to live on, from one generation to the next. The statue is Willie Mays. Willie Mays is the statue. The rock, the anchor, the centerpiece. Willie Mays, the say-hey kid.
His legacy will go down as the greatest player of all time. I think we all know that already. So that's no secret.
Everybody says Willie Mays is the greatest player they ever saw. I mean, he's the greatest player I ever saw, the greatest player I ever played against.
He's the best player ever played the game. Every day, Willie did something on the field that incredible.
I never seen a player like that. And I played with Hank Aaron, but take my chances with Willie Mays.
He did things where people would go home and they would sit around at breakfast table and say, "Did you see Willie catch that ball? Did you see how he did it?"
I watched Mays play 162 games a year. I did not watch Williams or DiMaggio or Henry Aaron. So my value was day after day I saw what Willie Mays did, and he was the best.
I've always thought that Willie is what Babe Ruth is to baseball. You know, you mentioned Babe Ruth. No one has ever forgotten Babe Ruth. I don't think anyone will ever forget Willie Mays.
When you talked about Willie, you just said, hey, I just hope that you keep the ball in the ballpark when he hits. Guys like that, they have no weaknesses. So all you had to do was hope and pray that you got him out.
Getting William Howard Mays Jr. out was easier said than done. A fool's errand, further complicated by a remarkable all-around game.
I tried to do some of the things that I've seen him do, to be a complete ball player.
Considered by many to be second to none.
Oh, God. Willie was a great all-around player. You know, he can do it all.
You talk about a 5'2" ball player where Willie had all of it.
Willie could run. Guy could hit for average. Guy could hit for power. A guy that could field and a guy that can throw. That's what made him great.
You look at the stats on me, anything that comes up, I'm there some kind of way. My father used to call me at night and says, if you're in the top 5 of everything, you're going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Every part of his game stood out. That's why he was the greatest player ever, you know, because he could do everything on a baseball field.
In a time when you had Roberto Clemente and Frank Robinson, Henry Aaron, he was the first name you came up with. because he was just slightly better at everything than everybody else.
The tools are indisputable, but it was Mays' passion and undeniable love for the game that truly stood out for those that had the privilege to see him play.
I don't think we talked about anything else but Willie. I mean, I think that was, that was the center of conversation in our house all the time.
You look at 302 lifetime batting average. You look at over 300 bases stolen. You look at 660 home runs. But even the statistics, that's like talking about a Van Gogh painting and saying that it's 18 by 24 inches and it had bright splashes of yellow and oranges. It doesn't begin to capture the artistry that went into it.
He did things with a flair. He just had a sense and an ability to do things that I don't think other guys could do.
It's kind of difficult because I love the game so much to talk about what I did on the field. I did so many things on the field, so many. Anything you talk about, I think I did it.
You could tell how he loved the game and how he wanted to win. When he went across the line, he was a different ball player.
Willie Mays is the kind of guy that when he put on a baseball uniform, it was do or die. Tremendous respect for the game, all out every inning, every swing, every play.
The great ones all have God-given ability, but there's so much more that elevated that ability to being one of the greatest who ever played the game. And that's part of it, that knowledge, that always looking for more information and being able to put it to good use.
I learned baseball until I was quit. From the day one to the day I quit, I was learning baseball.
Willie was the thinking man's player, and I think that's part of what set him apart.
I don't think people give him enough credit for being a team player. He reminds me so much of Michael Jordan when Michael played basketball, He made people around him much better.
That team-first mentality translated to the field and amongst Mays' teammates, who benefited in equal parts from both his physical and mental preparation.
But I had the best of two worlds. I got to play alongside of him, and then I got to sit with him, and we got to talk a lot.
In baseball, you don't teach anybody how to play the game. You learn from somebody. And that's what I learned from Willie, to do my job on the field and play the game they were supposed to play the game.
He wanted to be the best, and he worked at that very hard. He wanted to be in the right position, and I learned a great deal about pitching from him playing defense.
The whole team, we all relied on Mays. He was like our coach on the field. Even when I went to the outfield, Mays was the one that placed all the guys the way to play, He just knew ahead of time what was going to happen.
He played everybody perfect. Everybody. See, when they put me in left field, he told you follow me. So every time he moved, I move.
I give Willie the authority to play the outfielders off of him, because he knew ball players, where they hit.
Willie didn't do anything without a purpose. He knew the hitters, he knew the other pitchers, he knew the tendencies. Willie didn't go into the game saying, oh, well, I'm just going to see what happens. Willie figured out pretty much what was going to happen.
And he said, you know, being a quarterback taught you to see the whole field. And he felt, as a player, as a defensive player, you know, he saw the whole field. He knew where everybody was.
Football, I didn't think I could play no more than 5 years because I was a quarterback. I thought they would put me on defense. Basketball, I didn't think I was tall enough. I was 5'11", and these kids grew old, you know, they can just dunk over me. Baseball, you don't have to have a size. You can go out and play. You can do what you have to do as far as the game was concerned. So I said, I'll pick baseball.
Baseball quickly proved to be the correct choice, paying early dividends for the prodigious slugger.
Then I started playing professional when I was 16. My father called Piper and says, I have a young kid coming from Chattanooga. I play with a team called the Chattanooga Lookouts. And Piper was the type of guy, he let me play. Only thing he did was explain details to me. Meaning if I made a mistake, he didn't holler at me. He just said, come in, sit down with me. And he showed me how to do different things. And it followed me all the way through baseball.
You know, they knew right from the start, you know, this kid is going to be a great player. You know, he just showed everything early.
My father took me to a Black Baron game in Birmingham, and Willie Mays was about 16 years old. He was a great ball player because he was young, but, you know, I'd heard the black people around where I was from said, oh, there's a great kid's going to be a great player in Birmingham that's playing with Black Barons.
The Negro Leagues played baseball at a level of excellence comparable to that of the major leagues. The issue wasn't really a question for us as to whether or not we could play. We knew that we could play. We knew that we would have to be better in order to even get the opportunity to play.
Thanks to Jackie Robinson, that opportunity would come sooner than anyone could have imagined.
Jackie was the great forerunner. He essentially opened the door and kept his foot in it at tremendous cost to keep it open. And Willie Mays came through and not only proved that those athletes coming out of the Negro Leagues were great athletes, that they could play with anybody, but that some of them were better.
When you talked about African Americans back then, if they played on a ball club, you knew darn well that they were pretty darn good. You know, they had to be pretty good in order to be on the team, because there were no ball players that was sitting on the bench that was any better.
I don't think I knew what was going on at that time, but I thought I had a chance to get to the majors. If Jackie could get there, I thought I could. I mean, it means that I could get out of Birmingham, go play ball, might get a chance to get to the majors, and help my family.
That opportunity came on June 21st, 1950, in the form of the New York Giants, who signed the then 19-year-old Mays to a paltry $4,000 contract.
I just about fell out of the grandstand when I saw the boy, really young, just out of high school, and the terrific speed he had in the bat, his great arm, running speed, his reflexes, everything. It just added up to a great ball player. It
was kind of sad for me. I couldn't go to prom. They called me the afternoon of my prom. Coming out of high school, that's a big day for you. So I had to get on the train, go to Trenton, play the game the next day. We played 2 games in Trenton, and we went to Hagerstown. That was my first stop. And they call you all kinds of names there, but that didn't bother me because I had heard all those kind of things. I hit quite well, so the third day, it was kind of strange to me. As they was introducing me, I heard the announcer says, "Ladies and gentlemen, we know you may not like this kid, but please stop hollering at him, stop, intimidating him, because he's killing us."
This was part of the price that they were expected to play. You go in, you play, you do the best you can, you take the shouts, the taunts, you take the black cats thrown on the field and the rest of it, and you keep quiet and you go back.
Went from there to the St. Paul Club and was playing for the Giants there. And that's when he was hitting about 500. And Leo was kind of watching him and asked that he be brought up.
We had to go through what they call a process. At the time I came along, you had to go to B-ball, you had to go to A-ball, AAA, and all that kind of junk. But I only stayed in Minneapolis for about 2 weeks. I had, I think I hit 477. I had about 8 home runs.
Now he's in Minneapolis. That's the biggest place he'd ever been. And now he's going to New York. And he's all by himself. There's no entourage going with him. There's no agent going with him. He's just all by himself. The club didn't send anybody to help him, get there. He's just on his own to try to figure out how to get to the polo grounds and then what time is the game. He didn't know any of that stuff.
To simply say that it was miraculous for him to come out of Alabama and accomplish what he accomplished under those circumstances, it really doesn't encapsulate it. It doesn't capture it. It doesn't grasp it.
NBC University Mays UI Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up. Your tune-up and smog experts.
When he first joined us, I know he went over 24, 25, whatever it was.
And he was in the clubhouse after a game, and he was in his locker crying.
Mays had gone to the plate 3 or 4 times with men in scoring position, 1 out, nobody out, popped up or hit into a double play.
And I went up and got Leo to his office. I said, you better go down and see your boy.
And I put my arm around him. I said, son,
you're my center fielder. I don't care what you hit.
Sure you had a chance to win the ball game for me today, but you did.
And as long as I'm here, you're my center fielder.
I said, you're going to get a lot of hits. I said, we brought you up here to play center field, and you're going to play center field.
Well, the next day, Willie went out, hit a home run, cleared all of the left field stands, everything. From then on, there was no stopping him.
Leo was one of those guys that knew just about everything about me because he had me when I first started.
He kind of looked at Leo as, I'll say, his father. Leo had been his first manager and had stuck with him through, the early days when he struggled to get his first hit. And Leo had made sure that Willie was always looked after and taken care of.
When you have a, first manager, you have a tendency to believe in, what you want to do, and you try to protect him as much as he protected, the player when he was, coming along. So, but Leo told me, truth. He would tell me the truth on most everything that he talked to me about.
That undying trust was well earned and well worth DeRocher's considerable patience. Despite the slow start, Mays hit New York like a supernova, a meteoric talent, shining brightly in a galaxy of stars.
New York and Willie Mays, it was the perfect marriage. A city where Babe Ruth played and Lou Gehrig and DiMaggio, not easily impressed in this city. And about the time Mays came up, Mantle was brought up. Duke Snider was the great center fielder for the Dodgers. So the best at that position were all playing at the same time in the same city. So Willie Mays outshone them all.
All the years I've been in baseball, to see 2 of the greatest, then see Duke, who I played on the same team with. And Duke was just a slight bit below those 2 guys. It's like saying to me, what's the best plate of spaghetti you ever eaten? Well, I might figure my mother on Christmas Day or something like that. But then, the day before Christmas, I had pasta that was great. That's the way it is with Willie and Mantle and the Duke.
If Willie, Mickey, and the Duke was Christmas dinner, the 1951 season offered New York baseball fans a veritable buffet for the senses. As late as August 11, the Giants trailed the league-leading Dodgers by 13.5 games. However, a 16-game win streak and victories in 37 of their last 44 forced a 3-game playoff with their bitter rivals from Brooklyn, leading to a 1-game showdown for a shot at the World Series and baseball immortality.
Bobby Thompson, who has had 2 out of 3. Blanca throws. There's a run!
Bobby hit the home run. I'm still on deck. And I didn't realize the game was over. I'm the last guy to get to home plate. And I saw Eddie Stanky come cross home plate. He grabs Leo and he, wrestled him to the ground. And then I realized that, hey, I better get up to home plate because something is happening to him that the game is over. I thought Charlie Dresser, and I think he was the manager at that time, would walk Bobby because he had just hit a home run off of Branca the day before. I thought they would walk him and get to me without any problem.
And he got Willie off the hook because Willie was a rookie and he didn't have that much experience, and he was over there dying saying, oh, Bob, please do it because, you know, I don't want to have to try to do it myself.
After that year, I wanted to be the guy at bat. And in this situation, I didn't care what it was. Rather than have my teammates at the bat, I wanted to be at bat.
Mays would eventually have his chance, though it would take longer than anyone could have imagined. The Giants would go on to lose the World Series in 6 games, a series featuring Mays and his idol Joe DiMaggio on the same field for the first and only time in their respective careers. And as the great DiMaggio faded into the sunset a champion, it appeared the 1951 Rookie of the Year was just coming into his own. However, a raging conflict in Korea meant the rise to superstardom would be put on hold.
It was pretty hypocritical at that time. The draft, of course, was on for everybody. And there have been some athletes, Mantle didn't serve because he had that bone spur in his foot. So Mays went in, and of course his service duty, quote unquote, was playing baseball for the camp team.
When the Army drafted him, you know, they drafted him at the height of his playing career, you know. I mean, it's right in the midst of him having great season. He might have hit 758, I don't know, 2 years in the Army, certainly taken a lot out of him. I will be the first one to say that.
There's no question in my mind that Mays would have broken Ruth's record before Aaron got there if he had, you know, he lost almost 2 full seasons. And when he came back, his first season back, he hit 51 home runs. So what does that tell you?
My skills was much sharper. I played for a 90-game schedule in the service in Fort Houston, Virginia. Hit 40 home runs every year there. So I didn't think I would, you know, miss anything. My body got stronger. I began to hit the ball much long ways. So when I came out of the service, it was nothing.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder. And in Mays' case, the bat grows stronger. In 1954, only his second full season in the big leagues, Willie led the National League with a .345 batting average, adding 41 home runs and 110 RBI, winning the MVP award in runaway fashion, and powering the Giants to the Fall Classic.
This guy would rise to the occasion. Whatever the heat of the battle, the tough of the game, those games against Brooklyn, Ebbets and in the Polo Grounds, they were like a World Series, each game. I can still see him coming in the clubhouse, and by him walking in there or seeing him in uniform, and he's going to play, and he played all the time, you got a good chance to win.
He just loved to play ball, and he didn't care where it was. Whether it was the World Series, All-Star game, whatever it was, but everything he did was just great.
Greatness wouldn't have to wait long. The Giants entered the 1954 World Series as heavy underdogs to the Cleveland Indians, but would quickly gain the upper hand. With the Giants and Indians knotted at 2 in Game 1 of the Fall Classic, Vic Wertz stepped to the plate.
I was playing shadow. If you look at a film, you see how shadow that I was playing, how far I had to run. In the polo ground, you had to look at probably 2 things. One, once you hit the dirt, you know there's a danger sign coming up. And when I hit the dirt, I knew exactly what was going on. But as I'm running, I wasn't worried about catching the ball. I was worried about getting the ball back into the infield. So as I caught the ball, I'm turning in all the same motion to get it back into the infield. And only one guy advanced. So to me, that was the key to the, whole World Series.
And I was in the bullpen, I saw the catch, and I think sometimes it's overlooked is the throw it back into the infield to prevent the guy from going from first to second, which kept a double play in order. I think that's not kind of overlooked. But Willie had eyes behind his head and the presence of mind. Willie was the best, just simply the best.
The Polo Grounds was the most absurd baseball stadium there ever was. But Mays had the ability to run forever in center field for fly balls. And he had the ability to do it. There's no other ballpark, really, that would have given him the chance to show what he could really do.
I asked him on the way in after we got the 3 outs. I said, I didn't think you'd get to that one. You know what he told me? He said, I had it all the way. I said, you did, huh? I said, okay, that's good enough for me.
With Willie, you couldn't pinpoint one play to say, that's the greatest play, because it seemed like every year he would make some play you'd say was greater than the one he made last year. And you'd ask him about it, and he says, I don't rate them, I just catch them.
Because I never worried about how to rate catches. I just caught whatever came out there. I'm not into trying to catch balls, make them, people, as long as they enjoy what I did on the field, that was enough for me.
And enjoy it they did, as Mays went on to capture the hearts of New Yorkers like few before him.
I've always dreamed and had an ambition to be on the same club that won a world championship, to be part of it.
But just 3 seasons after bringing a world championship to the Big Apple, attendance numbers at the Polo Grounds began to plummet, a portent of a seismic shift on the horizon.
Leo, in about the 8th inning, called me into the dugout. We went into the bathroom. He says, Bill Rigney is going to be your manager out there. I said, out where? He says, the team is going to California, and I'm not going. So I said, no, I don't think I want to go if you're not going. And at that particular time, I didn't know anything about California. I had no idea what it was all about. I knew that they didn't know too much about me, so I wanted to stay in New York and play as long as I could.
My life's great. Had permission for us to transfer the New York Giants franchise to San Francisco. Does that mean you will definitely do it? That's right.
The first time I saw him was in the parade before the opening day in '58. I was a college student, and I stood at the corner of New Montgomery and Market and watched them come down Montgomery Street, and he was in the first Cadillac.
Well, when he first came out, of course, the fans were waiting for Willie Mays. I mean, the famous Willie Mays. Any fan in the world would appreciate that. And right away, he was well liked out here.
Liked? Yes, but not universally loved. The Giants' sudden exodus from New York to the West Coast prior to the 1958 season set the baseball world on its head. No one more than Willie Mays himself.
If your hometown fans cannot be behind you, then who can?
At the beginning, they were kind of funny about Willie because he thought he was Superman. Go for 4 every day, and he threw home run every single day. It's not so for nobody.
A lot of fans liked Orlando Cepeda. A lot of fans took to Willie McCovey. And there was, my dad had gone to high school with Joe DiMaggio. So he was part of that generation of people who were still holding on to the old Galileo, Joe DiMaggio era. So it took a while for Mays to really develop that love.
When he came from New York to San Francisco, he was kind of like say, this is the best guy you'll ever see play. And I guess it took a while for San Francisco to realize they were watching the best because they had so many great ones in the Pacific Coast League out here.
I never had any problem out there. It's just that sometimes they didn't understand how I played, I think they wanted me to play sometime base to base. Well, I was always ahead of whatever was going on. If a singer went over second, I'm on third without any problem. Well, a lot of guys run to second and they stop. I was always ahead of things.
Any resistance from the established baseball community wasn't echoed by a younger generation, hungry for heroes and in awe of an athletic marvel patrolling center field at Seal Stadium.
When you look back at the first Giant team in San Francisco, it was a true blend of young players, first-time major leaguers, mixed in with a few of the old seasoned veterans. And I think like the Cepeda and Alous and Davenports and all those young guys, he kind of took them under his wing. And I think he was more than just a great player. He was kind of a team leader at that time.
It was amazing. It was like a dream come true. When I saw him play in Puerto Rico, it really made me think, I want to be a baseball player.
I used to go to the games. I was playing baseball in the area, and I just remember how great he was. I think that one thing that always struck me about Willie Mays is that whenever he was on a baseball field, it seems like that's where he belonged, and he didn't want to be anyplace else. He was always having fun anytime he was on the field.
Growing up in Richmond, California, having a chance to go to Seal Stadium a couple of times, see a few ball games. He was my idol. That's who I grew up around. The only thing I knew about was Willie Mays and the San Francisco Giants.
The legend would only grow in 1960 with a move south of the city to a brand new state-of-the-art facility known as Candlestick Park.
Candlestick Park, new home of the Giants, who came west in 1958.
I couldn't get the ball over the fence in batting practice, so I told Chubb, I said, this is not the right way for me, because now, if you go back and if you ever see a picture, the bleachers was the home run, and only 12 home runs was hit the first year we played there. I had to hit it straight away center field and let it blow.
With the wind going across from left field, Willie had to kind of start hitting to right and right center a lot, rather than pull the ball. So he really, you had to admire him for being able to change his stroke.
There are a lot of players that they play, and how they're constructed, how they've grown up, that's the way they play. Mays would change.
He never played in a park that was built for him. Candlestick was a detriment to Willie Mays as far as hitting home runs. But he made the adjustment because that's how good a player he was. He never actually had a place that was built for what Willie Mays could do best, and that was hit a lot of home runs.
As he settled in at home, Mays continued to terrorize National League pitching on the road. On April 30th, 1961, number 24 overcame the odds and illness to hit 4 home runs.
The 2-0 delivery, and Mays sends another one. Tell it, bye-bye, baby. Aaron doesn't even move. It's going far up into the center field bleachers.
I ate some ribs the night before, and I didn't think I was going to play the next day, so I was sitting on the bench, and Joe Amalfitano used to use my bat.
I went over and said, why don't you go out there and try this bat,
So I went up and taken about 8 swings. I hit 4 out, and then batting practice, I said, I got to play then. So I went to the lineup card and just changed and put my name there.
Willie Mays has tied a record, 4 home runs in a game. County Stadium is going mad.
I think I made the last out. We was on the road, and they booed me for making the last out on the road because Willie was going to come up for the 5th time.
Anytime you get 4 home runs in one game, to me, that's a real nice day.
The good times would continue a year later when the Giants finished the regular season tied with the arch-rival Dodgers for first place in the National League.
62 was one of those years where, it could have went either way. We was in a dogfight down the stretch with the Dodgers.
The Giants got off to a fast start. The Dodgers then took over, but the Dodgers lost Sandy Koufax, but the Giants were sluggish. With 7 games to go, the Dodgers led by 4, and it looked like it was all over.
But looks can sometimes be deceiving. Instead of folding, the Giants rallied to catch the rival Dodgers on the final day of the season. An 8th-inning Willie Mays home run helping the Giants edge the Houston Colt 45s 2-1. Before anxiously sweating out an eventual L.A. loss to the St. Louis Cardinals.
We had a playoff in Dodger Stadium. I hit 2 home runs on the first game that we played in San Francisco. They won the second, and they was ahead in the third.
October 1962, and it's the second playoff series in the last 4 years for the National League.
Frank Sinatra and Roz Wyman and all the Hollywood movie stars are at Dodger Stadium all of a sudden because they're back in the driver's seat and they're leading 4-2 in the 9th, and they blow it just like they had in 1951.
Here's the pitch. A line drive to center. This could be it. Mays waiting. got it. The Giants win the pennant. The Giants have won.
It's like a script that was written in Hollywood type of thing that we moved forward so quick. It was wonderful.
Gentlemen, our people on the ground have informed me that there are over 75,000 of your enthusiastic supporters down there.
A picture-perfect playoff spawned an even more electrifying World Series. The Giants and Yankees returned to San Francisco, with New York holding a narrow 3-2 series lead, only to have Game 6 delayed 4 days due to torrential rains. When play resumed, the Giants would win that game 5-2, forcing a decisive Game 7 at Candlestick Park.
Ace hits a double, Matty lose at first. And the field was wet. Remember, there'd been several days of rain. Roger Maris did a great job with a wet baseball, getting it right away in a perfect relay throw to Bobby Richardson, and Richardson made a one-hop throw to the plate.
The ball that I hit going down the line, if it hadn't been wet, the ball would have rattled around the fence. So Matty would have scored pretty easy. But when I was going around second, I was saying to myself, I wish I could switch. I wish I could switch.
Willie Mays never looked at the coach. So Willie said, I have pretty good knowledge. I know the outfielder's arms. I know my ability, my speed. What am I looking at the coach for? He doesn't know as well as I know.
I was hoping that I would be the runner in front of Matty. I would have scored some kind of way. Elston Howard was the catcher at that time. We'd had a little fun at home because I would use it. You know, I would hit the catcher before he hit me.
And this is one of those pivotal moments in Giants history in San Francisco. It's a kind of a sore subject for Willie because for him, the Giants should have won that World Series.
Instead, a sharply hit Willie McCovey line drive found the glove of Yankees Gold Glove second baseman Bobby Richardson for the third and final out. A dream season coming to a nightmarish end.
It wasn't to be, and Richardson with the ball that he caught off of McCovey, he was way out in right field. He wasn't even playing shadow. He was just playing second base. He was playing a little short right field, you know, type of thing.
If he'd hit it a couple of feet higher, you know, it would have been a base hit that scored the tying and winning runs, you know, but he didn't.
We thought, especially myself, that wasn't going to be the last time we were going to be there. I figured with the team we had then, I thought we'd win the National League pennant for the next 10 years. I thought we was that good.
That was one of the greatest Giants teams ever. And Mays hit 49 home runs that year. He was the best player on the best team in the league. But Maury Wills won the MVP award. If you ask him even now, you're going to get a frown because there was nobody better than him, not Maury, not anybody else.
Maury Wills was just one of many Dodgers that didn't sit well with Mays and his Giants teammates. A rivalry that began in the streets of New York certainly didn't improve with time or distance.
That was a rivalry that was second to no one. They come out of New York and went 3,000 miles, and it stayed the same way.
There was respect for Mays from the Dodgers, but there was no quarter given as a result of it. The respect was more borne out by this guy. It can kill us.
They threw at Willie a lot, and they used to knock him down. They couldn't hit him with a handful of wheat. The minute he went down, it'd come right back up. He couldn't get up fast enough to get back on the plate.
Koufax and Drysdale, they was like what you call the Bobster twins. When I say Bobster twins, they would always come 1-2.
Drysdale was always big and mean and unshaven, and he was a headhunter. Willie Mays had come up, first inning, he was going down, right at his head.
Koufax was a little different. You know, I don't think he ever, you know, really intentionally threw at anybody. Of course, he didn't have to. He had great stuff, and Drysdale did too, but that was Drysdale's nature, I think. He would probably knock his mother down.
He had some of his biggest games against the Dodgers. I mean, that's why Drysdale was brushing him back, and why, you know, the Dodger fans booed him, you know, in L.A. Because he beat them so many times.
That's what the fans wanted, Giants and Dodgers to clash at all times. And once they decide that's what they wanted, things start all over again. And we just had a good time with each other, you know. Sometimes we fight, and sometimes we just play the game.
Instead of mailing everyone my vacation photos, I'm saving a ton.
Among physicians. I want to be the Willie Mays of medicine. How ambitious can you get?
As if there were further need to establish his superiority, Willie Mays was at his best amongst the biggest stars.
Williams belts a long one. Willie Mays raised it back to high.
But as dominant as he was in the field during the Midsummer Classic, it was the All-Star Game locker room that was truly Mays' domain.
I don't care who's in the room. If Willie Mays is in there, Willie Mays is the light of the room. I mean, he's in the room because his personality the way he is. I mean, as great as Ted Williams and all those players were, when Mays was around, Mays is still, he's happier in life, and that's the way it was.
Well, to me, Willie Mays was one of the greatest ball players I ever competed against.
You hear him across the room in the clubhouse, and just one of those guys that everybody gravitated to. They'd come to the clubhouse and gather around Willie's locker.
Before the game, he was joking around with teammates. As soon as the game started, he was all business.
Well, in 1954, they stressed to me that the American League guys was laughing at you. I said, well, we're going to play, at least as I am. I'm going to play 9 innings every time I get picked.
Willie not only expected to play the whole All-Star game, he wanted to play. He wanted to show the American League that the great players were playing in the National League, and he aimed to prove it firsthand, right in front of their eyes.
When I made the All-Star team, Mays and those guys led the charge. We're here to win. We're here to prove to those guys that we're the best.
It really was important to us. You know, we wanted to win.
Willie Mays looked at the lineup one year at the All-Star game, and the manager said, I don't even know how to make a lineup, because I've got 8 third and fourth place hitters in here. So Mays said, well, I'll make the lineup.
So I says, I'll lead off and get him on the board as quick as I can. And he says, well, who's got second? I says, well, we got to go with Committed. He's a right field, pretty good right field hitter. Then Aaron. And I said, anybody after that, who cares?
An annual spot on the National League All-Star roster was well-earned, if not a given. 24 appearances in 22 seasons reconfirmed Mays' longevity, a case further bolstered by his second MVP in 1965, 11 years after winning the award for the first time.
Willie was the type of guy you thought he should win it every year. So it was never a surprise when he would win something.
And you call him one of the other players, hitters, to try to hit like him because he was so great.
I think the thing that you admired about Willie was the fact that he knew that he had everything under control. I don't know if anybody else could do it any better than Willie. I don't know anybody else could do it, really, other than Willie.
He was the guy that put everybody on guard. When you're playing against the Giants, you're playing against Willie Mays, you better bring your A game.
Just 2 years after being named Player of the Decade for the 1960s by the Sporting News, the same man who had brought Mays into the Giants organization more than 20 years prior facilitated his exit. On May 11, 1972, Horace Stoneham traded his longtime franchise cornerstone back to New York, this time to the Mets, sending reverberations throughout a stunned clubhouse.
Shock. Didn't think Willie would ever leave the Giants. That's when we found out it could happen to anybody. Willie Mays get traded, anybody can get traded.
I remember that vivid. We go to the game. I believe that day Willie cried. I see Willie cry 2 times in my life. That was one.
I get a call from Mrs. Joan Payson. She called me and says, you're now Met. And I said, no, ma'am, I'm not. I said, I'm going home. She said, no, we want you back in New York, and whatever it takes, we're gonna get you back.
If there was ever a player that should fulfill a career with a team, it was Willie. But the other side of it was the Giants at that time were bankrupt, could make no commitment to him to protect his future financially. And Joan Payson, who I believe was the owner of the Mets at the time, made a commitment to Horace Stoneham that she in fact would make sure that Willie was taken care of.
When I got to New York, she came by and says, you write your own contract. And I says, excuse me, what did you say? She says, write your own contract. I says, okay. So I put down, I, Willie Mays, would like to do what I want to do, when I want to do it. Now, I know nobody's not going to sign that. She signed it and says, if that's what you want, that's what you got.
When I saw him come out of the Mets uniform, I was up in the broadcast booth, and I got tears in my eyes.
And it's way back in left field. It could be. It's going, and it is a home run. A home run for Willie Mays. Number 647 in his career.
He'd covered many a step out there over the, what, 20-some years he'd played, so you expect that to slow down. You don't want to see that because you want to see the greatest keep playing.
You knew at some point it's certainly going to slow down. I think every ball player at some point, what age it might be, is certainly going to slow down.
Ladies and gentlemen, Willie Mays.
I hope that with my farewell tonight, you would understand what I'm going through right now. Something that I never felt that I would ever quit baseball. But as you know, it always comes a time for someone to get out. Willie, say goodbye to America. Thank you very much.
That goodbye would be short-lived. Mays returned to the spotlight in 1979, stepping before a microphone in Cooperstown, a baseball king ready for his coronation.
When I take in batting practice, everybody stopped, okay? And I said to myself, my God, what are they stopping for? Everything I hit went out of the ballpark. Everything I hit went over the fence.
It's an incredible feeling to be able to go to Cooperstown, you know, to be with the greats of the game.
Baseball Hall of Fame to me is the ultimate, because baseball, there's been the years where they didn't even put anybody in because they didn't feel someone deserved to go in. So it's the greatest fraternity, you know, in the world, because it's probably the hardest one to join and to be a part of. When I first got there, Ted Williams was John Wayne. He was the guy. I mean, he was the guy that everybody wanted to see. He gave the Hall of Fame credibility. Now, when I get there, I'm looking, where's Willie? Where's Willie? He is the guy that everybody looks to see.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall when he goes to the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, and he's with all those guys, and they're all telling the old stories. So he's a treasure, and I think Giants fans are all the better for the fact that we still have him, and we still have access to him.
The Giants organization made certain of that, ensuring generations of Bay Area fans would never forget the name Willie Mays.
You can direct all of your Giants fan mail, all of your mail to Willie, to Pacific Bell Park, 1 Willie Mays Plaza, San Francisco, 94107.
When you're putting a ballpark up, it's going to be a ballpark that's going to have to last, hopefully, stand the test of time and last for, you know, many generations and decades and decades and decades. Willie Mays' image is just, you know, undeniable and imperative that it's always remembered.
When someone makes you believe that this ballpark was built for you, it's wonderful.
It means that the franchise has not forgotten the greatest player that I consider out there.
When you think of the San Francisco Giants, you think of his name comes first.
Finally tonight, a 24-time All-Star and a member of the 1954 World Series champion Giants, he is the great one, Willie Mays.
Even the fans that before didn't understand the total package of Willie Mays, I think they really understand now, because they've seen so many other players who are supposed to be great, and they know they don't measure up.
A legacy of excellence, a legacy of distinction, a legacy that spanned 2 coasts, 3 decades, and countless millions of
era baseball ever had. And I don't know how you top that.
If you poll 100 baseball players, 99 of them are going to say Willie Mays is the greatest player they ever saw.
No matter what happened, Willie did that. Willie is better than the rest. in my opinion.
Anytime anybody, one of my children, anybody, I mean, who's the best player you play? Your manager, Willie Mays. Willie Mays.
I don't know that there's a player out there today that you could compare him to.
I'm very proud. Look back, I say to myself, I'm a very fortunate person, a very lucky person that I play.